As the sun goes down, the track cools off, and the anticipation builds as we get ready to kick off the SimRacerHub.com Truck Series, brought to you by Nazaré here with the Buttkicker 200 live from the virtual Daytona International Superspeedway. My name is Tyler Dittmer, joining me with the booth all year long with Will Tiller. And Will, we have to be excited to start this brand new season here with the Nazaré Racing Network.
Yeah, it's been a blast chilling on the beach here in Daytona. We've seen some excellent races so far during these speed weeks, including the Clash, including the duels. But tonight, ladies and gentlemen, this season kicks off here, and I couldn't be more excited to be racing for some real points, for some real W's here tonight, Tyler. And I think these drivers are too.
Top of the points and obviously the wins comes the cash here in all of our Nazaré leagues. And the anticipation has to be at an all-time high. Everyone loves Daytona. Everyone wants to come. Everyone wants to do well. Most people love the superspeedway racing. I know myself, I've always dreaded superspeedway racing. But we've come to Daytona to kick off our season. And we have a lot of big names and a lot of storylines we're going to have to follow throughout this season early on after some very exciting dual races like you mentioned.
Yeah, exactly. Some of the names to watch out for, of course, our pole sitter for the evening, Kyle Hess. We'll get a chance to speak with him here in just a little while. We're looking at Kerry Tribune, who won the Clash race not but a couple weeks ago. And then two drivers, one driver that doesn't look like he's going to make the race here tonight, Torrey Thompson, the winner of duel number 1, and Brandon Bullock, who we're going to get a chance to speak with here in just a little bit, the winner of duel number 2. Those are just 4 drivers to watch out for here tonight. There are plenty more drivers to watch out for here at Daytona. But it was interesting to see, Tyler, we had 3 different winners in the 3 races we've ran here so far at Daytona.
Yeah, and that's really no surprise. With superspeedway racing, you get those, surprise winners sometimes. It's important to note, though, the duels came down to about 0.06 of a second in each duel race. The margin of victory was no greater than 0.07 of a second. That's a very tight finish, and we're expecting another tight finish tonight. Obviously, this is the biggest field we've had yet for any of the races in speed weeks here, and that's going to really play a factor, I think, in how these drivers are able to manage this race. And as we saw with between the duel sizes, duel number 1 we saw less trucks, less chaos, only 1 caution. Duel number 2 had a couple more trucks in it, had 3 cautions, and only a 25-lap race. And that kind of chaos is, I think, something we may see early on here as these drivers are feeling each other in.
Yeah, and like the Baja man once said, who let the dogs out? Because the dogs came to play in that duel number 2 race. I remember that race vividly, between the cautions, the close racing, everything that you could wish for in an intensified race there in duel race number 2. And as we watch the drivers here in practice, other than the 4 names that I mentioned there, Tyler, what are some of the names you're watching out for here tonight?
I think you have to watch for guys like Jonathan Wiley, who has been up front, our Blanchard's Towing and Recovery hard luck winner from his duel. He was up front most of the race, and near the end of the race, he got wrecked out. Kind of had an unfortunate end. That's who he is, our hard luck winner brought to you by Blanchard's Towing and Recovery. I think he's a name that I look for, but he just hasn't had the luck at the end of these races, I think, to put together a full race here in super speed weeks that we've had. So I'm a little bit concerned, maybe backing him as my pick for the night, but he's definitely a driver to keep your eye on.
Yeah, definitely. And for me, a few of the other names to watch out for here tonight, I wouldn't be remiss if I couldn't mention the admin here in the Sim Racer Hub Truck Series of Brady LaBeouf. Brady actually came on strong during those dual races, really put forth an excellent effort when he's not up here in the booth with us here. Another name to watch out for, of course, Lumpkin there in that 18. He's actually practicing really well here tonight, as well as Hutchinson. Hutchinson's ran really strong here during speed weeks, laid forth a excellent qualifying run there. Had some bad luck, though, in the Clash and in the dual races there. Couldn't cross that finish line first, but that's another truck to watch out for here tonight.
And Matthew Hutchinson was your other dual hard luck Blanchard's Towing Recovery winner. So that reward, generally a $12 award we give out each week for a driver who's run up front most of the week, has unfortunate bad luck. Because of the duels, we split it $6 to each driver, so that goes towards some of their entry fee tonight. And that's kind of a thing we do here, at least early on in the season. I think the first 6 weeks we will have like $100 winner. So something to keep an eye on. Another driver to keep your eye out on, in my opinion, is Blake Lothian in that number 43 machine, that Millie's Restaurant and Catering machine. He has some experience in real-world trucks. He is a very talented driver. sometimes gets himself into a little bit of a mess as we look at that beautiful Millie's Restaurant and Catering scheme right there. But he is one heck of a talent, and I think he could do very well here tonight.
Yeah, speaking of doing very well here tonight, Tyler, as we watch this practice session kind of tick down, we've got about 10 minutes to go here before this season kicks off, and we can feel the intensity building, the anxiousness building as well. What do you expect to see here tonight? As mentioned, you said duel number 1 last week is very calm, cool, and collected. Of course, we had a week off for Halloween, so about 2 weeks ago. Duel number 2, though, we saw the competitors really come out a little bit, really come out strong, if you will. There's a lot more 3-wide racing, a lot more caution flags flew as well. Which race do you expect to see here tonight? A duel number 1 type race where it's very calm, cool, and collected? You see clean passes, you see the drivers kind of respect each other? Or is it going to be a dual race number 2 style where it's just the dogs came out to play? You're going to see every driver trying to go for position and every driver going for the win.
So unlike the duels and the clash, tonight there are stage points available. First stage is only 18 laps. Second stage is 20 laps, so laps 18 and 38. I think that is going to up the intensity level early on for some of these drivers. I think you're going to see a little bit more bold moves from drivers who really want to get stage points, just to get points early on in case something bad happens later in the race. And unfortunately, when you have that aggression early on, you also generally have cautions early on. So that I think we might have to look out for, especially around the stage breaks. Are we going to see that intensity ratcheting up, and are these drivers going to pull off really bold moves to try and get stage wins and stage points?
Now, for the folks at home that might be tuning into their first race here in the Sim Racer Hub Truck Series, do we break under caution or do we flow through the cautions here in this series?
So for this series, on any oval, the stage breaks will have a caution flag with them. The NASRA series as a whole, the overarching league that runs all the individual series that run on different nights throughout the week, we are looking at in the future eliminating the caution flags for stage 1 on road courses only. Stage 2 will have a caution flag though, and then we will reset them and go to the end of those race courses. But here on the ovals, like in NASCAR, stage break means a yellow. And before we move on any further, we'd like to bring in our winner from duel number 2 into the broadcast booth, Brandon Bullock, in that number 17 machine. You know, he performed really well. Brandon Bullock, winner from duel number 2. What is your thoughts coming into this race? Are you excited for how this race is going to play out? And do you have a strategy for these first 38 or so laps?
I'm really just going to kind of play it by feel and see how steady the group is, really.
And Brandon, are you looking for teammates early on? I know you're part of Career Racing Esports. Are you going to look for Cody Knott, Chris Blanchard, Raul Meza early on in this race to work with them, or is it kind of just maybe see what other drivers are offering you and kind of figure out everyone else?
I think we'll probably come up with a strategy and roll with it all together. That's usually what we kind of how we do it. So.
Well, thanks, Brandon. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but great talking to you. We hope you have a great race, and hopefully we'll be able to talk to you at the end of the race if you bring home a nice finish.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Brandon. As we're going to, at the time, move on to our outside pole sitter, Ricky Allen. Ricky Allen obviously got his spot a while ago. Ricky Allen, you're starting outside pole tonight. Very exciting being up front at Daytona. Are you going to try and stay up front, or are you going to maybe play it safe early on?
Yeah, I think I'm going to try to stay up front. We're still not really sure what our best plan is for us tonight, but at least I'm going to try to stay up there until it kind of settles down for a while.
And I got to ask, Ricky, as being part of Hoosier Daddy Motorsports, are you going to look for them early and often to work with them, or are you going to kind of just control a lane and try to stay out front as long as you can?
I think to start, just try to stay out of the trouble, but we're going to try to get together as soon as we can. It's just going to take us a bit. We're all kind of spread out.
Yeah, as we saw, Jonathan Wiley, I believe one of your teammates and team leaders, he kind of had a rough finish in the duel. Are you guys planning on trying to get everyone to the front, maybe control a line, or is it just maybe the chips fall where they may and maybe everyone kind of drops to the back and waits? Because it's a long final stage. I mean, it'll be about 38 laps, I think, the final stage. So are you guys thinking about dropping back early on in that final stage?
Yeah, honestly, we're still discussing that right now. We're still trying to figure out what our best plan is. We know we're going to have to pit on that last run. Hopefully, it won't be a green flag stop, but we'll see how that goes.
Well, thanks, Ricky. We'll let you get back to your team meeting, and hopefully you guys come up with a strategy that gets you all to the front, and hopefully we'll be able to talk to you after the race with a good finish.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. I mean, Will, we've heard from 2 drivers already starting near the front. It doesn't seem like they have their plans finalized. Is that maybe a little bit of a concern for you?
No, not at all. I feel like in a race like this, especially to kick off the regular season, you're going to be strategizing all race long. You're going to try to find those teammates. You're going to try to find those opportunities to pass. You're going to figure out where to pass on a track like this. Because as mentioned, the races we've had so far here in this series, kind of like a preseason kickoff, if you will. A lot of these drivers have been studying. A lot of these drivers have been doing their homework. And I think here tonight, it's time to implement everything that you've learned over the past couple weeks, or even learn some new things now that everything's on the line and you're racing for stage points, as you mentioned, Tyler. So I feel like as this race kind of plays out here, stage 1, stage 2, you're going to see these drivers starting to feel out the track, feel out those opportunities. And then once we get down to those last 40, 50 laps or so, that's where we're going to see some slingshot engaging, if you will.
Yeah, and before we bring in our pole sitter, Kyle Hess, I want to take a moment to note the 60 purple scheme that Michael Allen is running. It's in response for Awareness Month for Alpha-1 antitrypsin deficiency. It's a rare lung disease that Michael suffers from, and it's awesome that he is kind of carrying the mantle for finding a cure for it, and just kind of a beautiful paint scheme and showing support for all those who suffer from alpha-1 antitrypsin deficiency. So just something really special, and we have a couple other schemes that we'll highlight throughout the night for drivers who are kind of supporting causes that are near and dear to them.
And that's excellent right there, carrying that torch for all those people out there. And what an awesome paint scheme that is. It looks beautiful on that 60 machine, so hopefully we see that 60 machine in victory lane. But what an opportunity to support an excellent cause like that, Tyler, and what a way to kick off the season supporting a cause like that. Couldn't ask for a better paint scheme out of that 60.
Yeah, it does look sharp, but now let's move on to our pole sitter for tonight's Buttkicker 200. And our pole sitter is none other than Kyle Hessen, number 86 for Mission 1 Esports. Kyle, starting on the pole at Daytona, that's got to feel good.
It does, but it's a long race, and anything can happen in these 80 laps that we've got coming up in front of us.
That's for sure. And is your strategy, since you are starting up front, to try and get those stage points early? It's only 18 laps to the first stage break, or are you going to maybe bail out a line if things get sketchy early on?
I'm going to try to stay up front the best I can. I'd like to be up there, but if they start getting too antsy too early, I'm just going to take my place in the back, ride it out, and see what happens.
Will, do you have any last questions for our pole sitter before we let him get back to his team meeting, as we're about 2 minutes away from gridding here at Daytona?
Yeah, Kyle, I want to ask you real quick. As we saw you through those dual races and the clash races, going into those races, as you've already locked in that top spot of the grid, what have you taken away from those 3 races we've ran so far here at Daytona that you can maybe implement here tonight?
Man, just to stay with the same strategy, because the same strategy has gotten me to the end of the races, and that's where we need to be. I know in some of them I didn't make it to the checkered flag, but making it within 5, like under 5 to go, especially in plate races, you're doing pretty good. So that's the goal, is to be there at the end of the race and then just see what happens, really.
Yes, sir. Well, we appreciate you taking the time with us here tonight. And Tyler, if you don't have anything else here, I guess we'll let Kyle get back to it.
Yeah, no, Kyle, hopefully we'll be able to talk to you at the end of the race, but have a good one tonight, and keep that truck clean, and hopefully we'll see you up there competing at the end. Thanks, bud.
Not a problem. Thank y'all.
As we've now heard from 3 of our front runners, at least to start the race tonight, most of them kind of said similar things, Will. They kind of want to stay up front, but they're not going to push the envelope too early, it seems.
No, and I understand that completely from a driver's point of view. They kind of want to take their time. They know this is the first race of the season. They know this is gonna entail once that green flag drops. And a lot of the drivers, you're getting the same sense out of a lot of them, Tyler, that they know this is a long race. As I like to say, this is a marathon, not a sprint here tonight at Daytona. So a lot of these drivers are probably going to be a little patient here in the first couple of stages. But once they know those laps are starting to tick down, that's when the heat's going to get turned on.
Yeah, as now we're looking back again at our weather today. You see that track temperature, it's only going to get cooler tonight, and that means the truck should get gripped up early. And maybe that's going to empower some of these drivers to think that they can push a little bit harder than maybe they should early on. As we saw in duel number 2, it was generally pushes gone wrong that led to big wrecks.
Yeah, and here at Daytona, you're going to see a little bit of that. You're going to see a little bit of that bump draft action going on, a little bit of a tandem racing in these trucks. But what makes these trucks so much different than the next-gen cars, you can kind of beat and bang a little bit in these trucks. You can give a little bit of a wiggle, if you would, to the guy in front of you, and it's not going to cause chaos. It's not going to cause calamity here tonight. But here we go. We're about to go into that starting grid here, Tyler, if you want to kick that off.
Yeah, and our starting grid tonight, we talked to that front row. It is Kyle Hess, your pole sitter for Mission 1 Esports, with Ricky Allen on his outside, and that number 35 machine for Who's Your Daddy Motorsports. Starting in row number 2, unfortunately, Tori Thompson could not make it tonight, but Brandon Bullock in that 17 scheme for Warrior Racing Esports, and then Michael Allen in that tribute scheme, the number 60 for the 979 Racing Team. Awesome to see them starting up front, so we'll get a lot of great early on screen time of that beautiful truck. Starting 5th, the boss man that you mentioned up, Brady LaBeouf, starting in that number 9 Mission 1 Esports machine. Kerry Tribute, our Clash winner, starting outside, row number 3 and 6. Blake Lothian will roll off 7th, Curtis Rogers 8th, Bill Hales 9th, and Cody Knott, the owner of Warrior Racing Esports, will roll off 10th.
Yeah, and I'll pick it up right from you there in 11th position. Starting off here tonight, Tyler Daniels. In 12th, it's going to be Brandon Bradfoot. In 13th, Cody Sanderson right there. In 13th, Brandon Chu right there. 14th, Raul Meza, who's been running really strong here at Daytona. Watch out for him here tonight. 15th position is going to be Andrew Cantwell. 16th, Justin Lumpkin. 17th, Jonathan Wiley. 18th is Cody Trantham. 19th is Dan Matthews. And 20th is Ron Hunter.
Yeah, as we're just going to let the rest of the grid roll through here for you all. We want to just give the layout of the race tonight. Stage 1 will be 18 laps. Stage 2 will be 38 laps. Total race length will be 80 laps or 200 miles here at Daytona International Speedway, making for the Buttkicker 200 tonight. Fuel will be at 100% fuel capacity, so we're looking at a fuel window of about 27 to 32 laps, a 20 incident limit DQ, and each driver gets only 3 sets of tires tonight, so there's going to be a little bit of tire saving, I think, because you only have 2 extra sets to put on the truck. You start with 1, you're only using 3 total, so these drivers may have to be a little bit cognizant of how they're using their tires early.
Yeah, that's definitely a huge factor here tonight at Daytona. You're going to see which lines these drivers prefer here tonight with that tire strategy in the back of their mind. Are they going to want to run those left sides and the low side to eat up the tires? Are they going to work that high side a little bit more to take the pressure off those tires? And another factor we have to watch out for, Tyler, is the thing you talked about the most. Are they going to press that envelope knowing that they only have 3 sets of tires here tonight?
Yeah, and I think it's just amazing. We have a 41 truck field to kick off our season here with the Buttkicker 200 and SimRacerHub.com Truck Series, as we are about ready to go green with Kyle Hess leading the field to the green flag. A little bit of a stack up in the back, it seems, but those front trucks are off and away, and Michael Allen is going to get to that back bumper there early on of Ricky Allen, and they're going to try to push each other clear of Kyle Hess down into 1.
Yeah, as Kyle Hess trying to hold that inside lane down into 1. This is our very first lap of the season here in the Sim Racer Hub Truck Series right now, as our leaders now starting to separate from the inside lane as we're exiting 2 down the backstretch.
Brandon Bullock really just hooking up there with 2, rushing down the backstretch, but here come the Allens on the outside. Michael and Ricky working really well entering 3. Kyle Hess will hold a slight advantage into 3 and should probably get a little bit of an advantage throughout the corner 1.
Yeah, right now we're still side by side just a little bit. Our leader's getting pushed along at the top of the grid right now. No separation right now between the leaders and the rest of the field, although the top side lane looks to be dying down a little bit. No change as our leader's going to take us across the start-finish line down into 1.
Brandon Bullock will take second that lap, but Kyle Hess, your pole sitter, will lead lap number 1 here at Daytona. Brady LaBeouf started around 5th. He is still sitting about 4th or 5th, even with Michael Allen, but he's the 3rd car on the inside. That outside lane, like you said, only about 5 cars deep right now. Looks like the field kind of got split up into 2 or 3 different paths early on.
Yeah, Allen's trying to push the issue on that top side lane there. Just not going to be enough to get around Hess on the low side. Although they seem to have found some speed, though, on the top side lane there as they're starting to stack up just a little bit. They need to do that to find the speed as we come around 3 and 4 right now to this front stretch. Still no change in the lead right now as Hess is going to start take us to the start-finish line.
Yeah, you look in that outside lane. There's 5 trucks there, but 3 of them belong to Hoosier Daddy Motorsports. John and one of them, Cody Sanderson, have joined the outside. But that inside lane still holds serve, at least at the stripe, as Kyle Hess will lead that lap again. But a little bit of a gap forming between Brandon Bullock and Brady LaBeouf in second and third on the inside lane. Looks like the Allens should be able to hook up here really well on the backstretch and get a really good run down back straightaway here. But it looks like Brandon Bullock's also going to get back with Kyle Hess here and push him along.
Yeah, you're seeing a lot of great drafting taking place between the top side and the low side lanes right now. Just seems as though the inside lane is the best track to go right now. As they told us in gym class when we ran track outside, the inside lane is the fastest lane if you want to get around the track the fastest. And it looks like that's paying off for Hess right now. He's going to take us across the start-finish line to lead another lap here. And it looks like that top side lane starting to dissipate just a little bit.
Yeah, that top side lane lost a lot of momentum through 3 and 4 down the backstretch. Bullock and Hess really got hooked up and kind of were cleared the entire back straightaway. The Allens could not figure it out. That inside line right now being dominated by Mission 1 Esports, Warrior Racing Esports, and Sick With It Motorsports with Blake Lothian there. But the number 95 machine of Tyler Daniels sitting there for BB Racing for Autism, he's riding inside the top 10 right now early on, so he's looking really good up front.
Yes, Hess takes us down into corner number 3. You see Brady LaBeouf right there in that 9 truck, just sort of taking his time, working that inside lane as best as he can. He might want to get up to the top side lane there, try to connect with the outside lane just to see if they have enough speed, but it's still going to be a Hess taking us across the start-finish line right now down into corner number 1.
I'm interested to see if some of the guys from the top lane are willing to dive into the bottom and just rip around here for a little bit. You may see Michael Allen drop to the bottom if he can find a space right behind the 95 in front of his teammate Curtis Rogers in that 65 machine. Those 2 9, 7, 9 racing entries may be willing to work with each other as that outside lane is really starting to fall off with Ricky Allen and Michael Allen holding serve up there as Brady LaBeouf is now clear of those 2 outside.
Yeah, the Allens need to find a better solution to that top side lane if they want to keep pace with the low side. But watch out for one of these low side cars if they have an opportunity to jump up to the top side to work with that top side lane, because right now they're just losing position after position as that train keeps a rolling. Shout out to Johnny Cash on that inside lane as Hess is going to take us down to corner number 1. So our lap leader here on lap number 6.
Yeah, Kyle Hess has led all 5 laps so far on lap number 6. The outside lane, although maybe not gaining as much ground as they would like, is starting to gain numbers, and that may start to get a push forward. But now Blake Lothian is going to be clear of the outside lane, so he could jump up top if he wanted to and maybe look for the lead as now more trucks are jumping to that side lane. We're 2 by 2 after about row 4 now, as again the Allens leading serve on the outside, but up front Kyle Hess still with Brandon Bullock, but now Blake Lothian will jump to the outside.
That's exactly what I thought was going to happen with one of those cars on the low side lane to jump up top there. You saw a lot of those cars right behind the leaders there starting to bob and weave a little bit, trying to find opportunities. And Winston Lothian knew it wasn't going to be his day there in the 4th position. He decided to jump up there to the top side to see if he can garner just a little bit more speed up there. But it looks to be not the best solution there, Tyler, as that top side lane just is not finding that speed as Hess is going to take us down the backstretch.
Yeah, Blake Lothian's actually going to lose a spot to Tyler Daniels from the inside, but now Ricky Allen giving a mega shove to the back of Blake Lothian's 43 machine. And he's going to get ahead of Daniels, but they need to stay hooked up more throughout the track, especially in the corners when they're giving up ground by going the longer way around. They need to get hooked up tighter on that outside lane. It's just too loose from about 4th on back in that outside lane.
Yeah, right now he's going to cross the strike here at lap number 8. If you were Brady LaBeouf there in that 9 truck, would you try to find the opportunity to go to the top side lane there and maybe add to that train on the top side, seeing as though you're in the 3rd position and you're not really finding an opportunity to get around?
Brady LaBeouf's not going to do that. He's got his teammate out front, Kyle Hess, and a friend of his in Brandon Bullock, although not teammates technically. Kind of, I would say, an alliance of sorts with the Warrior Racing Esport teams and the Mission 1 Esport teams. So I don't see Brady LaBeouf abandoning that that inside line unless it's like 5 to go in the race or 2 to go in the stage. That's just not going to happen at this point in time. But Blake Lothian trying to get that outside line moving, but that outside line is now back down to 6 trucks, and they are not tightly together.
No, I was just about to mention that there, Tyler. You don't see any cohesion between that top side lane with the trucks. We're just speaking about the top 3 trucks right now on the track as we go down into the corner right now. Those 3 guys, even though not all of them are teammates, there is that alliance between teams that those 3 trucks are going to stick together right there. They're not going to go anywhere like a command strip on your wall. They're going to stick up there until something happens. And those 3 trucks have been inseparable here since the drop of the green flag. And you see what that entails here, ladies and gentlemen, as we dig down into corner number 3. They're the fastest 3 trucks on the track right now, and there's no separation between them. And as such, that top side lane cannot catch up at all.
I'm surprised we haven't seen Curtis Rogers and Michael Allen, teammates for 979 Racing, make a deal to get Allen down to the bottom lane when he was falling back. Now Allen's behind Rogers. He has no chance to get to the bottom unless someone's really nice and lets him in, or there's a major gap and he forces his way down. As Dan Matthews now looking to the inside of Michael Allen. And that inside lane just keeps moving forward, but Matthews looks really squirrely on the bottom.
You saw that 35 truck of Allen kind of get a little wobbly there on the corner. There's no place to go there, Tyler, though. If you get loose, you start to get a little sideways. This race is so tight right now. It could be calamity for the rest of the field. But you see it. That's an excellent shot right there as we enter that corner on how tight, how long that low side lane is compared to the top side. Even though the top side has some great drivers up there and some great speed, just that low side lane is just a lot more built up and long. Look at all of the trucks on that low side.
Yeah, as we see Ron Hunter from Hunter Performance Motorsports now moving up inside the top 10, that 30 machine right behind Dan Matthews from Matthews Motorsports, the 38 machine. These drivers, now with everything's kind of getting spaced out on the bottom. After about the 38 and the 30, there's really no one behind him until it looks like Cody Sanderson in that 88 machine for Hoosier Daddy Motorsports. I'm surprised he didn't let his teammate Jonathan Wiley down there.
Yeah, no, you got to start to figure out where your teammates are on the track. If you're stuck on the top side lane there, you need to find your opportunities. You need to find somebody you can work with there to try to move up. Maybe get on the radio, talk to your teammates, figure out a strategy. Because right now, you're not really seeing any kind of momentum or speed out of that top side. Right now, is going to cross the strike here at lap 13, or lap 12, excuse me, as we dig down into corner number 1. With only 6 laps to go here in stage number 1.
Yeah, and that Dan Matthews 38 machine just looks so loose off the corner. I'm just kind of concerned that he may just go around on his own. He is really squirrely coming out the corners. But so is that 63 of Curtis Rogers. And that outside lane is finally moving. Blake Lothian is pulled level with Brady LaBeouf, and now reaching ahead, he is now to the outside of Brandon Bullock.
Yeah, I'm interested to see if any other trucks want to go to the top side, seeing as if there's a lot of speed now. It looks like they are catching up to our leader, Hess, right now. As you mentioned, they have caught up to Brady LaBeouf there in the 3rd position. But it looks like they have stalled out right there, as now Brady LaBeouf is going to clear that 43 truck just a little bit here. Is going to come off of 4. There's still, look at that inseparableness between our leaders right now. They are stuck together. There's nothing going on between the top 2 guys right there. And that's why you see that low side lane being so fast. They're not trying to battle for position. They are not trying to bob and weave, lose that draft. They are just 1-2 single file line there. And you see that speed, and it just looks like the outside lane just lost a lot of momentum once again.
Yeah, and that's a lot from Bullock just not getting any more than a half car length of Kyle Hess. He has stayed pretty much within a car length of Kyle Hess every second of every lap so far early on. But now you're seeing that 95 machine of Tyler Daniels fall off the back of Brady LaBeouf's number 9 machine, and that's what allowed that outside lane to get momentum. But now that Brady LaBeouf and Tyler Daniels are kind of tightening back up there, that outside lane is going to struggle.
Yeah, and if you were that 43 truck right there, what's going through your mind? Seeing as that you're at the top of that, let's say the outside lane, if you will, and you're not really seeing yourself really increase position. That's Blake Lothian there in that 43 truck. What's going through your head right now? Do you think about maybe a different strategy, maybe going to the low side, working with some other trucks, or do you just continue the same strategy to see if you can find that speed on the top side?
Problem being, we only have 4 or 5 laps left in this stage, and oh, there's a big move from Cody Sanderson up the middle. He's going to force everyone 3 wide here into 3 and 4. Looking between Allen and Rogers, it does not work. Matthews gets squirtly there. Sanderson had a big run he took as we are now 3 wide, about 7th and 8th on track.
Ooh, this is where it gets a little squirrely right now, but everybody seems as though they've found their position. As you now see, the 43 truck Lothian has now gone to the inside lane. Right after I asked you that question, looks like he's going to try out that inside lane for just a little bit, but that leaves that truck on the outside all by themselves. It looks like that top side lane has fully dissipated up there after we went 3 wide.
Yeah, that 88 truck is now leading the outside. Put everyone 3 wide and got everyone very unsettled. Blake Lothian's going to pull out a line here. He does not like the way everyone is racing. He wants to be there at the end like Kyle Hess. And that's going to help the outside line, a truck pulling out of the inside. And here's Sanderson jump back in front of Ricky Allen, 35, and try to get a move around Curtis Williams.
What a huge move right there to get in front of Ricky Allen there in that 35. That took some guts. That took some stammer to time that just right to get to that top side. And that's Cody Sanderson right there, now trying to make a move to try to get up to that top of the grid here. As we're counting down the laps here in stage number 1, this race is flying by here, Tyler. We don't have any cautions on the racetrack so far. Don't want to put the commentator's curse on that right now as they're coming off the corner number 2. You saw us just go 3 wide for the first time here tonight, but it doesn't look like anything for our leaders so far of Bullock and Hess. Still 1-2 on the racetrack down the backstretch.
Sanderson, though, is getting a heck of a push from Ricky Allen, and he is level with Brandon Bullock. Just looks like maybe Sanderson is a better truck to follow for Ricky Allen. Maybe he couldn't follow Blake Lothian as well as he wanted to. But Sanderson, since taking charge of that outside lane, maybe he's holding a prettier wheel, and Ricky Allen is able to push him very well as that outside lane is moving towards the front. And they're going to be looking to the outside of Kyle Hess here, coming into 1 and 2. Kyle Hess still leads lap 60. We have 2 laps to go in stage number 1.
And you saw the 17 of Bullock just try to side draft that Sanderson just a little bit down into the corner, but it looks like we are side by side right now on the apex of the corner. We're going to drag race down the backstretch right now. This is Sanderson and Hess battling for the lead down the backstretch.
Allen's a little bit tighter to the bumper of Sanderson than Bullock was. Hess, but Bullock now is going to give a shot to the back of the 86 machine. 3 wide for about 6 on back. Casey Tribune goes 3 wide between Michael Allen and Brady LaBeouf. That's going to be tight there. Hopefully everyone holds it clean. Tyler Daniels in the bottom of that 3 wide right now. And that's going to hurt the outside lane because it wasn't an inside lane truck that got shuffled out. It was the 60 machine of Michael Allen.
Yeah, and you see that 7 truck, a Tribune still stuck on that middle. It's getting so tight right now, Tyler, as we head down into corner number 1. We were 3 wide. That 7 truck is still stuck in that danger zone lane, I like to say. You have to hold that wheel just right, and he does, as he's going to squeeze up to that top side lane and get in line right now. But we are still side by side around corner number 2. Down the backstretch right now, Sanderson has found his place to be there on the top side lane, and it looks like he is inching just in front of Hess down at the corner number 3. This is a battle for the lead here with just a few laps to go here in stage number 1.
As we are actually coming to the end of stage number 1, Kyle Hess with Brandon Bullock behind him, but Ricky Allen and Cody Sanderson are going to fight here tooth and nails. We have a wreck in the back, and it looks like the 30 machine's around. It looks like that another machine from BP Racing for Autism is around, but Kyle Hess will win stage number 1 here at Daytona and the Buttkicker 200 as more cars spin on the front straightaway.
What a finish to the stage right there, Tyler. We thought it was going to be lackadaisical. We thought it was going to be a snooze fest to end out that stage, but it was far from it. That topside lane found speed out of nowhere, led by Sanderson. Watch out for that topside lane once we go green here once again, because that was quite a battle and quite a push they were putting on Hess to close out that stage.
Yeah, we're looking here now what happened to Ron Hunter in that 30 machine. Michael Boyd is outside and looks like he just came straight up the track and wasn't clear, collects Michael Boyd, and then he's going to come back down across the bottom. I can't tell who he collects there. Is that the 93? I believe that is Jason Stevenson was involved. That's unfortunate. That's some significant contact to his right front and just kind of a chaotic situation there to finish stage number 1.
Yeah, very chaotic indeed. And one thing that I want to mention there, that was only one stage there, Tyler. We have a couple more stages to go. We have an 80 lap race here. We could feel that intensity that anxiousness really started to build as we were counting down the laps there in stage number 1. And we saw what I was sort of saying when we started this broadcast off. A lot of these drivers have been studying here the past couple weeks. They've been writing notes. They've been going to study sessions, if you will. And you saw those strategies start to play off there. You saw that topside lane really have no speed. A few of the drivers are trying the inside lane. But once Sanderson got up there with Allen, it was like a rocket went off there on the topside lane there. And they just almost snatched that stage win away from Hess. I'd say just a couple more laps, they would have had it because they were inching in front of him there down the backstretch.
Yeah, I think that move 3 wide by Tribute kind of just set them up for failure. But Dan Hagen also involved in that wreck. He is on pit road getting damaged. He's already a lap down. That's a tough way to start the season for Dan Hagen, that 39 machine. But it looks like the leaders will be coming to pit road here. Kyle Hess stayed out. That's a bold strategy call with 20 laps to go. We'll have to get the stage 1 winner in the booth as pit stops are going to commence, but I will pull Kyle Hess, our stage 1 winner, up here to talk with him about his stage 1 victory. Kyle, you won stage 1. You're staying out here during the caution. What's the strategy play?
Boss, hold on a second. I'm going to try to stay out and run her as dry as I can get her and pit a couple laps before the end of the next stage. Then when everyone goes to pit, if they pit, I go back to the front. Then I was trying to do an alternate pit cycle to where we would pit before everyone else and be back on track before everyone else, but everybody else went to pits. So
It seemed maybe a slight miscommunication for a team, but you are the stage 1 winner. That's a playoff point. That's 10 regular season points. How does it feel to get that stage 1 win under your belt as you pretty much held a masterclass in how to hold that inside line together?
Man, it feels really good. To be honest, I think this is the first stage that I've won. And NASDRA, since we've been, I'm pretty sure of it. If not, I've been really close. But it feels really good to have them points and that playoff point in my bank, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I believe there's a little bit of a cash prize that comes with some of the stage wins sometimes too, so hopefully you'll get a little bit of money thrown your way for winning that first stage, but we don't want to bother you too much. We'll let you get back to your team, but congrats again on the stage 1 win, and keep it up front and keep it going, man. Hopefully we'll see you at the end of the race.
Thank you, boss. Hope we put on a good show for you guys.
It's been entertaining so far, that's for sure. And, you heard it there from our stage 1 winner, Will. I mean, he's trying a little bit of a pit strategy call here, staying out while everyone else came down pit road.
Yeah, I like it though, Tyler, because we talked about that pit window being anywhere from about 27 to 32 laps right there, and that was only lap 18. So you got to figure some of these drivers still have a few more laps on those tires, a few more gas left in those fuel tanks as well. You got to think about though, we only have 3 sets of tires, so you have to really calculate when you want to put those freshies on those race cars. This was only stage 1. We have stage 2 is going to end at lap 38. So you can sort of time your fuel or your pit window around that 27 to 32 lap range and still have enough to go to the end of stage number 2. Then you can count on that caution flag flying just in case you have to head down pit road once again.
Yeah, I will say though, he was leading the lane the entire time. That fuel range is going to be on that lower end, probably the 27 laps we're thinking it may be. I might see him drop to the back early on here. He's pretty led every lap so far tonight. So he is well on his way to getting the most laps led bonus point. He already has a laps led bonus point. So maybe he, falls back this stage, rides the draft, gets as far as he can strategy-wise, and then tries to make it towards the end.
Yeah, I mean, it's been paying off for him so far here tonight. He's going to start off on that inside lane, which he's been most comfortable here tonight, almost like a lazy boy in your living room. He's been kicking back on that inside lane there with a lot of great work behind him from Bullock in that 17, but it looks like he's going to have a new partner there at the top of the grid pushing him along. But what I want to mention, though, Tyler, we saw the cohesiveness from that topside lane there right at the end of the stage. We saw how much speed can be generated from that topside lane if everybody works together. So keep an eye out for that when this green flag drops.
Yeah, Chris Blanchard will be starting here outside, and that's another one of those Mission 1 Warrior Racing, Stick With It Motorsports kind of alliances. We go green here. Kyle Hess takes the green flag. He'll lead another lap this time, leading the first 23 laps so far tonight, and it's just so far been a master clinic, but I think he's going to have to drop back here and save some fuel.
Yeah, right now. You see Hess still leading the way down into the first corner, coming to the apex of 1 and 2 right now. Bullock now in that 17 is going to be pushing him along right there. No change so far between the 1-2 positions on the grid as we head down the backstretch. Still, Hess is going to lead the way as we see some drivers pull out of line there on the backstretch.
Yeah, and after that caution at the end of stage 1, there was a wreck that involved a couple of cars. I think you're going to see drivers be maybe a little bit more reserved here, try to get, again, to the end of stage 2 before we see racing like we did last time. But I'm interested to see if Brady LaBeouf and Chris Blanchard try to get to the front on the outside lane, get in front of their Alliance teammates, and have 4 cars controlling that inside lane. But you know Cody Sanderson and that Hoosier Daddy Motorsport Racing entry, and Ricky Allen as well. Those 2 drivers are going to want to get hooked up and work together and get to the front.
Yeah, and also you look at Kerry Trevue right there in that 7 truck, not too far off the pace as well, side by side with the 35 of Allen as we come around the corner. Right now you see Brady LaBeouf has now flip-flopped to that top side lane, and that 9 truck is gonna push and push and push until he can get up to the lead. I spoke about that when we started off this broadcast. It looks like we might have a new leader down into corner number 1, and we might have it there. Tyler, just not gonna be enough to get in front of Hess there on the apex. Still gonna be Hess leading us around the corner.
Yeah, and that was probably that lap car of Ron Hunter after getting damage at the end of stage 1. Kind of broke up that outside lane, but Chris Blanchard's going to try and still be short. Kyle Hess will lead another lap here. I mean, he's getting close to already locking up most laps led tonight. That's another bonus point he can put in the bank, and that is so helpful in a season-long points championship.
Yeah, you want to log as many points as possible. For anybody that's raced in an iRacing league, you know how important those points are. You might have a bad race, you might have to sit out a race, and in real life thing might come up and you might have to miss a race. So all the points that you can get during the regular season are really going to come in handy there when we start these playoffs here. But we've got a long way to go before the playoffs. This is the first race of the season here in the Sim Racer Hub Truck Series here in Nazareth, as Hess is going to lead us down the backstretch.
Inside line looking real squirrely back there with one of the BP Race Garage's entries and Dan Matthews. They did not like pushing each other there. But that outside line is holding court far better than it did last time. But we have a lap car here on the bottom of 1 and 2 with Michael Boyd, and that's going to be a problem for Kyle Hess. So that inside line is going to get checked out massively, and we almost had a big wreck there. But thankfully, leader Kyle Hess called that out, but he is going to lose the lead to Chris Blanchard here because of that 81 machine. But nope, we do have a spinner in the back. Dan Matthews is around.
Yeah, I started to see things get a little dicey here. No caution flag out just yet, but we started to see the drivers get a little bit more antsy there in the pack. It could be a little bit more wear on these tires. It could be a little bit more laps down in the belt of some of these drivers here as we're creeping up to almost around lap 26, 27 here, almost about halfway. So some of these drivers are starting to know, okay, I only got halfway more to go and make these moves. And you just saw it right there coming off of 2. A lot of the drivers just got a little bit loose. But as you mentioned, Tyler, that could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, and that just seems like a lack of awareness in the lap car. Maybe from the back of the pack. You know, they're trying to hurt us, but Lowry and Matthews got loose and spun there, but there's no caution. I think that's the right call. They're relatively isolated spins. It sucks for those 2 drivers, I know, but you can work together with 2 trucks here and catch back up to the lead pack. I mean, we have 2 different packs now, and Chris Blanchard is
Yeah, and you see right now, it looks like there's a little bit of a change there at the top of the grid right now. When we looked at what happened there on the back of the pack, we have a new race leader on the track. Is now Allen in that 35 is on the top side lane all by himself right now. But we have a new race leader right up there, Tyler, and I'm wondering what may have happened to Hess because he may have dropped back just a little bit.
Hess is still in that main pack, but he is trying to figure it out right now. Chris Blanchard is your leader. Brady LaBeouf in second. We have Curtis Rogers now third on the inside lane, but we have Tim Hammond on the outside of the corner, Ricky Allen. Cody Sanderson's there on that bottom lane with Casey Tribune. Jonathan Wiley also on the outside with his teammate Ricky Allen. So some of the similar names up front, but Chris Blanchard being up front is awesome for him early on in the season. Warrior Racing Esports, a driver who really tries his hardest no matter what series he's in Nazareth. All around good dude. So good to see him up front, leading a couple laps here as Kyle Hess has now attached himself to the back of this main pack, which is good with Brandon Bullock. So those 2 are still working together.
Yeah, but you see what happened there, though, Tyler. They were running that top side lane there until they built up enough speed to get to the low side. And once they got there, they stuck there. And you see Brady LaBeouf down there, as well as our race leader pushing him around right there. And you see exactly what we saw between Hess and Bullock there not too long ago. If those top two cars can link together and really push each other along, it really separates from the rest of the field. Although we're seeing a lot of speed from that top side lane right there, I don't know if it's going to be enough, as that topside lane is moving, though, and that's led by Tim Hammond there in that 69.
Yeah, that 69 HD Motorsports pink scheme Chevy Silverado there, really getting a great push from Ricky Allen in the Hoosier Daddy 35 entry. And it looks like Tim Hammond will lead that lap here at Daytona. So Tim Hammond leads lap 29, but that inside lane has now fallen apart, and the outside lane has more trucks in it.
Yeah, shout out to Tim Hammond there. He's my boss over at 10-4 Broadcasting. Good buddy of mine. It's great to see him back in the car for all the adversity he's faced off the track. It's great to see him back in iRacing. And look where he's at, though, right now, Tyler. He is leading this race here at Daytona down into corner number 3.
So we saw with that incident, though, that kind of shook up this front. I think that was maybe a blessing in disguise for Kyle Hess. Yes, he doesn't have the lead anymore, but this helps him fuel-wise because he was not going to make it to the end of this stage on his fuel tank, especially with running out front as much as he did. I don't think he'll be able to make it to the end of this stage anyways, but it gets him closer as Ricky Allen will lead lap number 30 there in the Hoosier Daddy Motorsports entry. So Tim Hammond's lead up front was short-lived as the Hoosier Daddy Motorsports teammates of Jonathan Wiley and Ricky Allen, as Ricky Allen hangs out his boss man to dry.
Yeah, but that was a smart move, though, from the 35 of Allen to get to that low side lane. We've seen the speed from the low side lane all race long here tonight, and even though he does leave his boss man out to dry, it's been a little dicey there down the backstretch, it's still the smart move because now you have two cars, 1-2 on the racetrack side by side. When it happens to do so, you'll see one of them get behind the other and kind of push them along. But we had that whole pack just break up there. Crazy right there, Tyler.
Yeah, caution flag is out. We're trying to figure out for what it is on the track. I don't see any immediate on the live cameras of cars around, but I may have missed something. We do have a caution. Oh, no, we have a blown engine here. It looks like the number 6 of Zach Hartwick has blown a motor, so we'll have to figure out what happened to him. But we are under caution here, and that may be the caution that Kyle Hess needs.
You see right there, we're going 4 wide on the racetrack. It looks like the 4 just ran out of room on the racetrack, tried to go a little bit low, and at that point just forgot that there was a car on his low side. Got a little clip there, and you see what happens when you get stuck in that danger zone lane there, Tyler.
Yeah, that seems to, again, be the Michael Boyd 81 lap down truck, kind of just sticking his nose into a pack and not really holding the bottom, and that caused a lot of chaos there, and unfortunately, it takes out a lot of decent cars. That 4 machine of Steve 42 should be the 42. Steve involved. Blake Lothian just barely gets away, but number 4, Adam Newbert, Cody not involved in the 26. Zach Hartwick's also involved. It's unfortunate to start as Hartwick gets involved late. That's really rough for those drivers.
Yeah, right now as you're creeping up almost to the halfway point here, starting to see a couple of drivers head down pit road. Looks like those drivers that were tangled up in that incident not too long ago. We're starting to just see a good portion of drivers, but this puts us right in that window that you were speaking about, Tyler, a 27 to 32 lap range. Does it look like a lot of our leaders have headed down pit road? Yeah, you see the 43 truck right there. You see, I guess that's Hess at the top of the grid right there in the pit stall as well. You know, this could be the perfect opportunity to get everything taken care of here because you're going to race to lap 38, but then you're not going to have any more caution breaks unless it's an on-track caution. So really, you're trying to calculate as far as you can go here with this pit stop.
I think the strategy here is you take your tires on this pit stop, and all you have to do is get a splash of fuel during the stage break, and then you are good for that final pit stop. Get some track position to start stage 3. But I want to bring in Cody Knott, who's involved in that wreck there, to talk about what he saw out the windshield. Cody, big wreck there. Can you walk us through kind of what happened?
Yeah, not entirely sure. 81 was pretty slow. He was got caused the last accident. I was just trying to check up just because I knew he was slower, and I knew everybody was already had a giant line coming on the outside. So I was trying to play it safe just to make sure I was able to safely get around him. And then, not exactly sure, but the 4, it looks like, was trying to go in the middle of somebody and kind of bobbled a little bit and hit the 81, and then the 81 caused him to turn back up into Blake Lothian, and then I just got into the 4, and now I have required damage.
Yeah, it seems like you're more of a victim of circumstances there. You know, what do you chalk that up as? Just, you know, people trying to push the envelope early and unnecessarily, or is that just more of a racing deal?
I kind of think it's more of like a heads up racing deal. Like the 81, yeah, I get that he's holding his line and staying down there. But this is I think the 3rd lap he's being lapped. I felt like he probably should have moved off the racing surface a little bit just to ensure that those that are on the lead lap stay safe. But I mean, I can't entirely tell him that because it's his ordeal and he's allowed to race just like everybody else.
Yeah, well, I know that's very frustrating for you with having that happen, at least this early in the season. But, you know, moving on to next week, I believe it's at Pocono. Always another race, and seemed like you had a fast truck, and hopefully maybe one of your teammates can bring home the win tonight as we're about to get going green here. But thanks for talking with us there, Cody, and hopefully next week goes better for you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. As kind of a little bit of insider on what happened with that incident is we are restacked and we are about to go back to green here. Just a handful of laps before the end of stage 2, and you saw that amazing onboard shot from our producer Adam Flieger. Cody had nowhere to go there.
No, nowhere to go at all, and I'd say that's probably our biggest caution of the night right there. And you know, once a car gets stuck in that middle lane, it's hard for that truck to really figure out what to do. You're starting to feel that draft pull from both sides. You're starting to get a little bit of a wiggle, but you're going to run out of racetrack if you have the smallest mistake. We saw it there. Unfortunately, there was a car to the inside, and you see what happens there. But here we go. Tyler about to go green flag racing here once again.
Yeah, just a handful of laps left in stage 2. Jonathan Wiley, teammate Ricky Allen, will lead us to the green flag. He gets a great jump in the Geico restart zone. Wiley will get right behind his teammates as they'll go 1-2 into turn number 1. Tribute looking to maybe take a couple of positions here on this restart, but he has no help immediately behind him through 1 and 2.
No, and you saw Wiley be an excellent teammate there, blocking both lanes, getting in the middle of the 69 and the 7 right there. What an excellent teammate move that was as we come off of corner number 2. It's Ricky Allen in that 35 leading us down the backstretch.
And a name we haven't seen much of up front this race, the number 5 machine of Jason Morales there on the outside of the right behind Tribute, riding for Mission 1 Esports. Full-time entry for Mission 1 Esports, unlike Jose Luis Rivera, Michael Kenku, or part-timers, but good to see Jason Morales getting up front, being aggressive here at the end of stage 2 and hoping to get some stage points.
Yeah, as the 35 is going to take us across the line right now, we have just about, I'd say, 2 laps to go here in stage number 2. These stages have flown by even with the cautions here tonight, but we are side by side for the race lead here on the apex of 1 and 2 between Ricky Allen and Kerry Tribute in that 7 truck, who has shown all sorts of speed here at Daytona.
And Kerry Tribute getting one heck of a shove from Jason Morales there in that 5 machine. Michael Allen back up towards the front, that 60 Tribute machine paint scheme he has tonight. And man, these drivers are really getting aggressive here as we're coming to the end of stage 2. As we're getting a big side drive from Kerry Tribute there on Ricky Allen 35, and they're looking for a big run down the front stretch. But after Michael Allen, that outside lane is not really put together.
No, Kerry Tribute is just trying to find that opportunity to get in front of the 35 of Ricky Allen to feel a little bit of that momentum off the low side lane right now. But it is Kerry Tribute right there in that 7 truck that's going to take us into the corner right now as our race leader, as that low side lane seems to lose a little bit of speed. Seems as though they found it now as the lead is going to inch just closer and closer now down the backstretch. Still, it's going to be that 7 truck who's getting a huge push down the backstretch.
Morales, another huge shot to the back of the 7 of Tribute, and those 2 trucks are just hooked up right now. If I'm Tribute, I'm staying with him because clearly he's got something under the hood of that truck that makes it a great pushing truck. But Ricky Allen's going to have a great run through 3 and 4, and they're going to drag race down here to the tri-oval. but I believe Tribute will lead another lap as we have 1 lap to go in stage 2. Tribute leads that lap, but just barely.
Yeah, Kerry Tribute's trying to get those bonus points here. Remember, folks, he won the Clash race, which was a clash indeed. It was a 50-lap shootout here at Daytona, and he won that race, so he shows that he has the speed here tonight. Daytona, he took on all the dogs in that race, and he tamed them all in that clash. He's looking to tame the lead right now down into corner number 3 and snatch some bonus points here as the stage winner.
Yeah, but you saw that inside lane stack up really poorly there on the back straightaway. Tribute, though, is going to need a heck of a push from Morales as we're coming to the stage 2. Green and white checker. Morales looks to the outside. Tribute drag racing with Ricky Allen coming to the line at stage 2. Stage 2 goes to Tribute in a tight one.
So close there to the line, but it is going to be the 7 truck of Kerry Tribute as our stage number 2 winner here. What a stage that was, Tyler. It's almost like deja vu. Shout out to Bill Murray Groundhog's Day there. It was similar to what we saw in stage number 1. As those laps started to tick down, the intensity and the volume went up here at Daytona as we saw these drivers, how important those bonus points are there in this series.
Yeah, as our top 10 stage point getters, Kerry Tribute winning stage number 2, Ricky Allen 2nd, Jason Morales 3rd, Jonathan Wiley 4th, Michael 5th, Tim Hammond 6th, Brady LaBeouf 7th, Tyler Daniels 8th, Curtis Rogers 9th, and Travis Burtzer who finished 10th in stage number 2. Burtzer started the race in 34th. He's moved his way into the top 10. Maybe someone we haven't seen much of tonight, but he may be a competitor here at the end of this race as all the drivers are going to catch up to the pace car on the back straightaway and come down for service as we'll have just under 40 laps to go.
Yeah, a few names popping out to me. You see Brady LaBeouf down there in the 7th position right there. You see Burtzer right there in the 10th spot. Sanderson there in that 88 truck. We saw him battling for the lead not too long ago. Lothian down in the 13th spot in that 43 truck. So a lot of those names that we saw battling up there at the top of the grid have now slipped just a little bit there in stage number 2. But as you mentioned, Tyler, we still have a lot of racing to do here at Daytona as we have just now crossed over the halfway mark.
Yeah, now comes the key point of pit strategy, and will these drivers do what it takes to get them up front? It's going to be a little bit tense as we're about to see how everyone rolls down pit road. Tribute is looking to hold serve, but who knows if he'll be able to do so.
Yeah, that 7 truck, though, as I mentioned, won the Clash race, coming in tonight with a lot of confidence, knowing that he can hold his own against the best of the best here in the Sim Racer Hub Truck Series here tonight. And that 7 truck is right where he feels the most comfortable, and that's at the top of the grid. But we'll see how this pit stop plays out here right now. As Tyler, what do you think these drivers are doing here down pit road?
Well, for those who didn't get tires on the last caution right before the end of the stage, they are going to get tires here. Before this long stage, you don't want to be on old tires for the final stage. It's as long as it is. This may be the last time they get tires for this race. This Tribute is going to lose a lot of spots on the road. Differing strategy calls, and Tribute is really going to drop down the grid. But we'll get Tribute in here to talk about his stage 2 win here in a second. But I mean, we're setting up for a great one tonight. We still have well over 20. We're looking at 32 trucks still in the lead lap.
Yeah, and what a field it was to kick off the season here in this series. You said about 42, 43 trucks here tonight, and there was even some guys that sat out tonight's race. So to kick off a season, this just is a testament to how much this series means to a lot of these drivers here and how competitive this season is going to be. You know, some of these drivers didn't even race in the dual races, didn't even race in the Clash, and some of them didn't even qualify. They got in for paying those entry fees. They had to start at the back of the pack. One of those drivers was Tim Hammond there in that 69 truck. We didn't see him at all during Speed Weeks. And here tonight, not only did he lead a lap, he's still inside the top 10.
Yeah, and I hate to be a bother to our producer, Amplifier, but if we can go back to that 24 Brandon Bradford truck machine there, that's a Veterans Tribute scheme. Obviously, Veterans Day being this for with the Nazareth community. Thanks all veterans for their service, past and present. And just a really nice looking hot Christmas race. But with that, just want to get Kerry Tribute here into the booth and talk to him about his stage win. Kerry Tribute, it's Tyler Dittmer in the NASCAR 360 booth. You got a copy?
How's it going?
It's going well, and not as well as it's going for you. Our Stage 2 winner tonight, Kerry. How did it feel, that last 5-lap dash? Were you a little bit nervous about it getting a little too chaotic?
Yeah, I was definitely easing up on like the pressure, but it felt like everything was getting a lot of tense, and I don't know. I'm just kind of nervous. It was kind of like really tense, but we made it happen.
Yeah, no, an impressive stage win, a very close stage between you and Ricky Allen. You lost a few spots there on pit road. It seems maybe differing strategy. Some people had already taken tires. Are you glad to have that fresh set of tires here for the final stage?
Yeah, we'll see what we can do. See if we can get ahead of these guys that are in front of me right now. They've been very tough. Wiley's pretty tough out here, and so are the Allen brothers. So, yeah, we'll see what we can do.
All right, well, Kerry, we're going to let you get back to your team as we are about to go green here. But again, we want to congratulate you. Just a fantastic Stage 2 win there, and we'll hope to maybe talk to you after the race.
Yeah, we'll try. Thank you, guys.
Yes, thank you. Hopefully I put him back in the right team chat. But as we're about to get going here again, new leader up front, Blake Lothian, back up front, which is good to see after he kind of fell out early. But Brian Chu, a name we have not talked about tonight, was a pretty impressive performer in the dual races, as Lothian will lead him to the green flag here as we start Stage 3 here at Daytona.
Yeah, 43 truck is going to take us to the drop of the green flag. That 43 truck has raced strong all night long. Right now, he's going to take us down into that corner number 1. And it looks like, again there, Tyler, that inside lane, even though it's starting to fan out a little bit, a lot more speed. As now you see the 17 truck of Bullock drop down there, but there goes that 24 truck to the outside. It might have enough speed there down the backstretch, as it's still our race leader. There is the 43 truck of Lothian. Watch out! Allen in that 35 is going to get really loose as we're 3 wide out into 3.
Yeah, Brandon Broadfoot took a run, but he had no help behind him, and Ricky Allen and Michael Allen, the Allen boys, found a way to get to the front quickly there. I mean, just an amazing move there by Ricky and Michael, working together, even though they're not teammates, to get themselves to the lead of that outside line. As Dan Matthews really seeming to struggle with the handling of his 38 machine back there in the pack. Almost came down into Kyle Hess, so maybe something to keep an eye out here.
Yeah, keep an eye out indeed right there, but Kyle Hess is still back up into the mix right there in that lead pack, and you see the 24 truck also on the outside there trying to work with him. The 60 of Allen's right behind the other Allen of Ricky Allen in that 35. A huge push from the 60 of Allen. It's the Allens again there on the top side lane there, trying to find the speed to get back up into the lead, but you see Ricky Allen is slip sliding a little bit in that 35 truck.
Yeah, the Allens couldn't get by Bullock and Hess early on, but they seem to have something more for Blake Lothian and Brian Chu on the inside. Maybe they figured out that draft a little bit better, but Brian Chu's going to jump to the outside. Blake Lothian goes with him. A big block by the 43 truck, and that's going to open up the inside for Brandon Bullock there with Kyle Hess right behind him, and Ricky Allen is put in the sucker hole. He's got no help.
No, he's in a dangerous spot right there in the middle lane, but he finds a home there in the inside lane right behind Bullock in that 17. He knows what bandwagon to latch his train car onto, and that's the 17 truck of Bullock, who's been on the top of this grid, or inside of the top of the grid here majority of tonight's race. But with that little flip-flop we saw, that's going to give way to the top side lane there. A lot of speed led by the 43 truck of Lothian.
Yeah, it looks like maybe Kyle Hess in the A6 cutting Ricky Allen a little bit of a break there, allowing him to come down in line. Really seemed like he opened up a lot of space, didn't push the issue, so good guy Kyle Hess, it seems, coming into play early in Stage 3, but if this was 5 laps to go, I don't think you see Kyle Hess getting Ricky Allen in that break.
Yeah, but you still see that 43 truck of Lothian, but you now start to see a few drivers starting to feel themselves a little bit, start to see these moves take shape here, starting to dip around the racetrack, test that middle lane, if you will, starting to get a little 3 wide. It's a far stretch of what we saw to start this race. As you see now, that excellent shot down the backstretch, a lot of these drivers are bobbing and weaving down that backstretch, trying to find those holes to get themselves up the grid.
Michael Allen went from third in the outside lane to front on the bottom lane with an amazing move to get into the Bullock. Michael Allen and the Alpha 1 Anti-Trips and Deficiency Tribute Scheme is trying to look to lead here at Daytona. Unfortunately, Lothian will just edge him out that lap.
Yeah, as you see 60 and that Allen truck's now to the inside lane there, got in front of the 17 truck of Bullock to try to add a car to the inside lane. Not going to be enough now as we come around corner number 2 right now, heading towards that backstretch. Still the 43 truck of Lothian, but it looks like Allen, though, and that 60 might have enough to get around, but no, we are drag racing again here at Daytona down the backstretch.
We're 3 wide. Brandon Broadfoot trying the same move that happened to him, but he is now in the sucker hole, and nobody went with Broadfoot. That 24 machine's going to look for a place in line. Looks like he'll get one there, but he'll lose a spot to Tim Hammond. And it looks like the 89 machine as well from HD Motorsports of Sean Hamilton will get by Brandon Broadfoot. So he's going to lose a couple spots there with that bold move.
Yeah, but looks like Lothian has found a home there on the top side lane. They're still holding it down there in that 43 truck. We saw the move that he made to block up at the top, and he does it again. He drops out of the inside lane with a huge block from Allen in that 60 to block off the inside lane. He must have felt that train not coming on the inside lane because he blocked it quick, fast, and in a hurry. He stopped that momentum as fast as he could, as now we are drag racing once again down the backstretch, down into corner number 3. Lothian's now to the inside there in that 43 truck. Still a race leader, but that top side lane still has a lot of speed, even though it's not led by the 43 truck.
Yeah, you have Brian Chu in that 51 machine for Sick With It Motorsports. And then you have 2 HD Motorsports entries, Sean Hamilton and Tim Hammond, nose to tail in that outside lane. Brian Chu is no slouch in the SimRacerHub.com Truck Series. He is looking for a way to the front, and he has the talent to get it done. He's getting a heck of a push from Sean Hamilton.
Yeah, Brian Chu, though, what a race he has had here tonight. As you mentioned, showed a lot of speed during speed weeks here at Daytona. Like I said, one of those drivers that probably did his homework, got his notebook out, wrote as many things down as he could heading into tonight's race. And you see why that study pays off here tonight, as now he is a race leader with a good move to get in front of the 43 truck of Lothian, as right now that top side lane is trying to find a leader.
Yeah, and I'm surprised Brandon Broadfoot didn't jump in line behind Michael Allen. He had a gap there for a little bit. That's his teammate, the 16 and the 24, but he waited too long. The 17 of Brandon Bullock filled that space, but finally we're seeing teammates work with each other. Sick With It Motorsports, Blake Lothian and Brian Chu, teammates up front in front of the HD Motorsports teammates. That's really the first time you see actual teammates working consistently with each other, and they are controlling that outside lane.
Yeah, this is getting really, really dicey here at the top of the grid. What a gutsy move for the top 2 cars to go low side, high side right there, as it's making some drivers uncomfortable, as you now start to see a little interchanging taking place there at the top of the grid. Inside lane, outside lane are moving into one another. Now the top side lane is led by Tim Hammond there in that 69 truck, but he has no help on the top side lane if he wants to try to make a move to the lead, as we're heading down the backstretch still with Brian Chu, our leader.
As soon as I said teammates were together, they broke apart just like that. Hamilton and Hammond not helping each other, but now they're back together again on the outside. It seems like people are forgetting exactly who they're supposed to be working with tonight, especially as you get to the later stages of this race. But one thing's for certain, Sick With It Motorsports is working together very well. Wherever Lothian blocks, Brian Chu goes with them. Wherever Brian Chu blocks, Lothian goes with them. But now it's the HD Motorsports teammates in the outside lane with Hamilton and Hammond looking for the lead.
Yeah, Hamilton and Hamlin are trying to find that speed on the outside lane, but you see the huge push from Lothian in that 43 to push Brian Chu just a little bit in front of the 89 truck of Hamilton, as now the 69 of Hammond. The 2 Hammond and Hamiltons up at the top of the racetrack. We have the Allen and Allens. We have Hamilton and Hammond up at the top side now, pushing each other along the 89 and 69 trucks, but that's not going to be enough speed to try to chase down Brian Chu in the 43 truck of Lothian, as it looks like, again, Tyler, we've seen this pattern play out all race long. The inside lane just has that little edge here tonight.
Yeah, now we have another set of teammates as Brandon Broadfoot's finally found the back of Michael Allen in the 60 for the 979 Racing entries, but they have another teammate in that outside lane, third in line with Curtis Rogers in that 65, so interesting to see if maybe they'll work together, as Terry Tribute does not have any friends up front. Actually, still has no friends up front.
Yeah, no friends at all. But you don't need any friends, as there's only going to be one truck that crosses that start-finish line there on the last lap. As long as you can do it, you don't need no friends, as one person once said here tonight. As long as you win the race, that's all that matters at the end of the day. But right now, we are very, very tight at the top of the grid. Right now, we are side by side on the apex of the corner. Got to watch out for a lap truck coming into the picture right there. That lap truck's going to go high side. Watch out, drivers there, as they're going to just move right past that lap truck. That's a smooth transition there by our leaders as we head down to corner number 3.
And we keep saying teammates don't matter, but you just 3 trucks from the Hoosier Daddy Motorsports with Bertzer, Wiley, and Ricky Allen all get in line behind the 2 979 trucks on the bottom. That O, that 2, and that 35 are all nose to tail now on the bottom, following the 979 teammates and the Sick With It Motorsports teammates. Teammates are starting to find each other here, as we are down to just 27 laps to go. And that may be how this race is won or lost, because it looks like we will have a green flag stop unless we get a caution here soon.
Yeah,
and we are getting pitting this time. We have radio chatter. Brandon Broadfoot, the 24, has said he is pitting. I expect to see Michael Allen in the 60 truck go with him.
Yeah, I was just about to ask you that there, Tyler, when we're going to start to see these green flag pit stops start to ensue, because with 27 laps to go here right now. Oh, getting a little dicey there at the top of the grid as we entered corner number 3. That 89 truck just got very, very loose right there. Almost made contact with Brian Chu with an excellent save, though, right there, as we're going to cross this line here with 26 laps to go.
I am confused, as Michael Allen and Curtis Rogers, both Brandon Broadfoot's teammates, did not pit with him. Brandon Broadfoot pitted with, it looked like, Kyle Hess and Brandon Bullock. So only 3 trucks pitted there, and that may not be enough for a quick pack. So that's a little bit of a concerning move, as Cody Sanderson has joined the Hoosier Daddy Motorsports train on that outside. There's 4 trucks now together for them. They have strength in numbers, but it's still the HD Motorsports versus Sick With It Motorsports up front battle between those 2 sets of teammates.
Yeah, right now as the teammates are battling it out. So the 69 truck of Tim Hammond, though, still in the mix. And I mentioned that not too long ago. This is a driver that virtually had no practice heading into tonight there. Tyler didn't run a qualifying session, didn't run the clash race, didn't run any dual races either. Came into this race very, very cold, but there goes the 60 of Allen, gonna make it 3 wide down the front stretch right now as we are the back stretch as we head down to corner number 3. We're
Hammond's in the wall. Hammond's in the wall. Rogers hits the wall. There's a wreck in the back of the field. Multiple cars are around, and that's going to take most of the Hoosier Daddy teammates are in contact. Matthews is still backwards. Oh, and it looks like more trucks are involved late on. That looked like a move gone bad, and Hammond got into the wall, couldn't get off of it, and everyone in the outside lane kind of just piled into the back of him.
Wow, we almost could feel that coming, though, Tyler. I'm not as surprised as the folks at home are about that incident. We started to see the drivers get a little bit more antsy, a little bit more loose. We started to see a little bit more guys creep into that middle lane, if you will. And we'll see it right now. I think it all started with the 60 of Allen going to the middle right there. That's really what kick-started the rest of the calamity behind that 60 truck.
Yeah, and you know who's the big winner in all of this? It's Brady LaBeouf, Kyle Hess, Brandon Bullock, Raul Meza, Broadfoot, and Jason Morales, because they all pitted just before caution. They do not have to pit anymore. They are going to cycle to the front, and those are an alliance set of teammates. You have 2 different teams, it looks like they're with Mission 1 and Warrior Racing Esports. They are going to have control of this race as we have just over 20 laps to go probably when we go green.
And as I mentioned to kick off this broadcast, the 37 Aralu Meza, we saw him in those clash races, or the dual races, excuse me, really made a move at the end of his dual race. That was just surprising to everybody. Flying off of corner number 4, almost won that dual race there in that 37 truck, but showed the guts. It showed the courage it takes to win here at Daytona. And now just tying that strategy just perfect there. Couldn't assume that there was a caution coming there, Tyler, but you see what Raul Meza does in that 37 truck, has now positioned that truck in the best spot possible to win this race here tonight.
Yeah, as it looks like Matthews caught the apron trying to avoid Hammond, who was in the wall, and then just came up, hit one of the Hoosier Daddy Motorsports entries. I'm not sure if it was the 0 or the 88, but those two hit each other. The 3 of Lowry's involved, the 48's involved. A lot of good trucks torn up in that wreck. Hoosier Daddy Motorsports cannot.
No, not at all. You know, coming into this race with a lot of confidence, and you saw it there, Tyler. They were running at the top of the grid. Great teamwork amongst the drivers there, really communicating really well here tonight. But with a wreck like that, with just so few laps to go here, that's just going to be disheartening and really take the wind out of their sails. But there is always next week there for Hoosier Daddy Motorsports, but that's going to be very, very disappointing here tonight.
As we see how everything is cycled around, those cars who are further back are now getting their positions at the front of the grid. Kyle Hess will be your leader when we restart at the end. Brady LaBeouf will be second, and it looks like Raul Meza will start third. Those 3 drivers know each other very well, combination of teammates and alliance teams, so that'll be very interesting to see how they all work together here at the end of this race.
Yeah, and we've seen it just a little bit here, Tyler. We've seen great, let's say great drafting here tonight. Even though they might not be teammates there at the top, it's been really respectful racing throughout tonight's race. I think the incidents that we've had here tonight, it's just moves gone wrong. As you said, that last caution flag flew there. A lot of these drivers are really trying to push the envelope, trying to get their noses out in front, trying to go 3 wide, whether it's the middle or the low side of the racetrack. And sometimes those gambles don't pay off. But they don't call it winning, they call it gambling, Tyler. And sometimes you lose when you try to gamble. But for some of these drivers, these gambles, including the gamble that the 37 truck Raul Meza just made right there, is definitely paying off.
Yeah, and that's just a frustrating situation. A lot of good trucks torn up. Ricky Allen has damage on the side of his truck. James Lowry has some rear end damage, some front end damage. Robbie Richards, the 48 truck's also hurt. It's like we're looking at Cody Sanderson there. His truck's torn up on the left side. A lot of good trucks, especially the Hoosier Daddy teammates, kind of getting a little bit screwed there in that incident, but should be interesting to see how the rest of this race plays out for them.
For sure, but as we're counting it down here, Tyler, what are some of the things that you've taken from tonight's regular season kickoff race here in the Sim Racer Hub Truck Series? What are some of the things you're noticing about the competition here?
Oh, the competition's just been outstanding, and you've seen guys be able to go from the back to the front. And yes, it is super speedway racing, but we're seeing guys really make moves, and it has been, for the most part, really, really clean racing. I mean, yeah, we've had a few cautions, but it hasn't been a complete wreck fest. We've had long green flag runs, and we'll have about 21 to go when we go green here with LS leading. So I've just been impressed just with the quality of racing so far.
Yeah, it's been an excellent race here to kick off this season in the Buttkicker 200 here live on the Nazareth 360 Racing Network. We couldn't be more excited to be bringing you guys this coverage here tonight. This is officially our first race of the season. Of course, we run 2 dual races and a clash race. But here we go, Tyler. That green flag is in the air.
Yeah, Geico restart zone. Kyle Hess will take him. 21 to go. Tribute with a great restart. Brady LaBeouf, not as well of a restart. Looks like Tribute's going to start in a second. Brady LaBeouf looking to maybe come down, but it looks like Shoe's going to fill in on that inside lane. And LaBeouf and Meza will lead the outside lane into 1 and 2.
Yeah, as you see, Brady LaBeouf there has ran a really strong race here tonight in that 9 truck. You see Kerry Tribute is pushing Hess, though, in that 86 down the backstretch right now. Has got that nose right on that back bumper, pushing him along down that backstretch. And again, another solid push from that 7 as we head down into 3.
As we get later and later into this race with less and less laps to go, you're going to see those pushes get even more aggressive. That inside lane of 3 trucks, though, has separated themselves from the 4 trucking line of Broadfoot. LaBeouf and Meza trying to get something going on the outside. Any support from Morales in the 5 behind them.
And we see right there as the 7 truck of Tribute still pushing Hess down into the corner right there, still moving along right now. As you see, although Brady LaBeouf in that 9 and Raul Mezzo in that 37 are holding pace, even though it's just the 2 of them there on the top side.
Yeah, Tribute is really abusing the back bumper of Hess, but maybe to the point where it's not helping them. Meza's not necessarily pushing with a bump draft, but he's pushing with the air between the 2 cars, and they were able to hold serve pretty well down that back straightaway. Going to give up some ground here thanks to the shorter distance on that inside lane, but maybe bump drafting Hess is not the way to go, as now you see Tribute looking to the outside of Hess and looking for the lead.
Ooh, as the things are getting a little dicey there at the top of the grid. Kerry Tribute thought that was going to be the best move possible, but it was a little sketchy there at the top side lane, as now Hess is a little angry about that move. He's not going to let Kerry Tribute take that lead away from him just yet. As you saw him creep up the racetrack, let him know that he's still there. He's still at the top of the grid as we come off the corner. Down the backstretch, still Hess in that 86 truck leading the way.
Yeah, as Brian Chu really pushing the bumper off of Kyle Hess there. Gets almost clear of Tribute. That inside lane, now as you see, Hammond has reemerged back up towards the front after that earlier incident getting into the wall. Seems like his truck isn't too damaged. That inside lane is really working well together. Brady LaBeouf just does not seem to be able to push Tribute as well as he'd want to right now.
No, with 18 laps to go here as we cross the strike down into corner number 1. These drivers know that we have just a few laps to go here tonight. They have been racing very strong, very competitive all night long here tonight, but you want to start off this season with a W. You want to let the rest of the field know it's been a 43 truck field here tonight. You want to let everybody know that you are the best one here in the Sim Racer Hub Truck Series as we're down into corner number 3. Still Hess and Tribute are battling it out on the low side and top side.
And it's all going to be where whoever can get the best amount of momentum from the lane behind them. Right now, off the corner, Hess got a good shove, but it looks like Brady LaBeouf's going to get to the back bumper of Tribute, but Hess should lead that lap. And I believe with that lap led, Hess should hold the most laps led tonight, but that inside line get really squirrely there out of the tri-oval, and that allows Tribute to kind of take a little bit of a lead in the 1 and 2.
Yeah, very squirrely indeed for that 86 truck. If anything happens there at the top of the grid, we are so tight, we are so close to one another, it'd be disastrous for most of the field. But here tonight, we're drag racing once again. Call it the quarter mile at Daytona. We've seen drag races all night long down that backstretch right now as Hess is going to emerge as our race leader down the apex of 3 and 4, heading to that front stretch as our clear leader right now as that inside lane starting to separate.
Ryan Chu, though, jumps to the outside, leaves Kyle Hess by his lonesome there on the bottom, and Tribute is going to push Brian Chu to the lead there. Looks like we'll have a new leader probably the next... Guaranteed to have a new leader unless Hess can get out of from behind of Chu or get clear. Oh, no! Hess gets in the back of Chu, and Hess is around. Big wreck in the front.
Oh, my goodness.
Raul Meza involved, Huck Wigington in the 96 involved, Kyle Hess is involved, and more. Brian Chu might have saved that.
Wow, Tyler, what? I'm just speechless up here in the booth. We saw some give and take taking place. We saw some 3 wide racing taking place. Wow, just look at that freeze frame right there. That is crazy right there. Brian True's 51 truck literally left the racetrack there, went 3 tires on the racetrack. He's going to come out of this a little bit unscathed. He's going to hit the apron just a little bit there, but it's really the 86 truck of Hess 69 of Tim Hammond, and Raul Meza's truck was 2 tires on the racetrack there in that 37.
Sean Hamilton involved, Travis Burtzer involved. It looks like Jonathan Wiley again getting involved. No, that's not Jonathan Wiley. Correction. Could not tell what that truck was there. Brandon Bullock looks like he is involved as well. So guys who've been up front most of the night, just like there, the pack just imploded. But it looks like Chu kind of left the bottom of the track, and Hess looked like he tried to back off, but he got shoved in there by Brandon Broadfoot. There's nothing Hess could do.
No, and I said it just a few laps ago, less than 1 or 2 laps ago, where we saw Hess really trying to get close to the Brian True right there to let him know he was there. I felt like if something took place here on this top of the grid, it would be disastrous for a lot of the field. And you saw it right there for how close and how tight we've been racing here these last 20 laps or so. One car got the worst of it, which just encapsulated everybody else into that mess. You saw right there with Hess. You saw Raul Meza, who's been racing really strong here tonight. Tim Hammond, who's been showing out here tonight as well. Bullock in that 17 truck. A lot of these trucks, for how tight and how close been racing, were just innocent bystanders for one car getting sideways.
Yeah, but Tyler Thurman and Donnie Lyons pushed each other through that incident. I mean, they were on the bottom there behind, Hess and a couple other guys, and Donnie Lyons and Tyler Thurman just put the pedal down and kind of bump drafted through that incident, getting clear before all the chaos came back down the track. Other drivers who made it through include Bill Hales. Michael Allen still has a relatively clean truck. Brandon Bullock with a little bit of damage. Lowry with a little bit of damage. Lothian, though, made it through that incident as well. Huck Wingington looked like he has some damage to the outside of that truck as well. So it's a whole new field up front, as we are going to probably have about 11 laps to go when we go green.
Yeah, what a Yahtzee.
Behind him, Brady LaBeouf to the outside, but Trebu's going to go with Brady LaBeouf here on the outside line. Nope, he's going to drop back down in front of Brian Chu here as we enter 1 and 2.
And what an excellent move from that 7 truck to block both lanes there heading into the first corner. Knew he didn't have the greatest of restarts there, but knew in his mind that he had to block both lanes. But there goes Brian True. He thought about going to the outside there, just ran out of racetrack there, Tyler, as we head down to corner number 3 still. Kerry Tribune leading the way.
Tyler Thurman, though, is going to take everyone 3 wide. Brady LaBeouf to his outside, and Michael Allen is inside. Brady LaBeouf not where he wants to be, as Thurman and Allen to his inside. He has no control over what happens at this point, as Donnie Lyons takes the lead here on the inside, but he's got some front-end damage. That may hurt his truck as a lead truck, but Donnie Lyons will lead that lap as we have 11 to go here at Daytona.
Yeah, with 11 laps to go, is Donnie Lyons our race leader now down into corner number 1. A few of these names we have not called out at all here tonight. They have raced their way to the top of the grid as we hit the apex of 1 and 2. But again, we are side by side now down the back with Kerry Tribune leading the way on the top side.
Bill Hales really pushing Donnie Lyons as well as he can, but I think that damage to the front end of that 71 machine is going to hurt him. Tyler Thurman also has some damage on the front of that 1 machine, but he's in line behind Brian Chu and Kerry Tribune. I don't think that's going to be as detrimental to his car's performance as long as he is not leading a lane, per se. Maybe on the last lap, he's going to be leading a lane with a bold move by Brian Chu and Kerry Tribune to go up high. 3 wide for 4th, maybe even 4 wide, but they get it back settled down to 2 wide here.
Brian Chu, it wants to chew that lead away from Kerry Tribune right now. We see him trying every lane on the racetrack, but that's going to give way to Brady LaBeouf there on the top side lane there. And the 9 truck has now found his opportunity, found his lane to try to get that 9 truck at the top of the grid as we head down the backstretch. So still Kerry Tribune leading us down to corner number 3.
Seems like a temporary internet issue for Tyler Thurman, but he has figured it out. His truck has reappeared consistently at least, but Brady LaBeouf leading the outside lane. Donnie Lyons, when he was out in the lane by himself, yes, he held the lead that one time, but it seemed like he had a parachute attached to his truck, because after that, when they got on the back straightaway, they blew by him on the outside. So Brady LaBeouf looking to lead this lap, and he will by a nose. Brady LaBeouf leads the lap over Kerry Tribune. New leader, the number 9.
Yeah, as we have single-digit laps left here in the regular season kickoff race here in the Sim Racer Hub Truck Series, brought to you by the Nazareth F360 Racing Network here. This is officially the first race of the season. It couldn't be more exciting right now as Kerry Tribute is trying to hold off. Right now, he has lost his drafting partners. They're in the inside lane as a new leader is going to emerge, and that's going to be the boss man. Brady LaBeouf is going to lead the race down off of 4, down the front stretch, but here comes that 7 truck of Kerry Tribute. Is he going to have enough momentum off of 4? He is not, as Brady LaBeouf is going to take us across the line with 8 laps to go.
And with all the chaos the teammates have whittled away, no one in the top 6 has a teammate technically other than it looks like Brian Chu with Blake Lothian behind him with Sick With It Motorsports. Otherwise, Michael Allen and Brandon Broadfoot are teammates, but they're a little bit too far back to make any noise with the way the trucks are racing. It is everyone fighting for themselves as we have less than 8 laps to go. Brady LaBeouf with Tyler Thurman, who we haven't talked about much with HD Motorsports. He's sitting in the outside lane, pushing Brady LaBeouf to the lead.
Yeah, and you see that speed they just had coming into the corner. Corner number 3 right now is going to hit the apex of 3 and 4. Still Brady LaBeouf leading the way there in that 9 truck. Oh my goodness, we almost had disaster right there as the 7 truck of Kerry Tribute just got cut off right there on the exit of 4. We have quite the race on our hands as we head down to corner number 1.
Thurman did not commit to the lane quick enough, and that almost cost him and maybe multiple other drivers their races. Brady LaBeouf led another lap there, but a little bit of damage on the nose of that truck, but doesn't seem to bother him, especially with the way Kerry Tribute is pushing him through turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, it's very intense right now as we have 7 laps to go. Oh my goodness gracious, these drivers are getting loosey and goosey at the top of this grid as Kerry Tribute has now lost his way. He's trying to find that lane once again. That could have been disastrous if you get stuck in that danger zone lane. But right now, looks like our leader is going to take us across the line right now. But look at Lothian in that 43 truck. Virtually has come out of nowhere. We lost him for a little while there, but that 43 truck is right back into the mix as we head down to the corner.
As I said, teammates weren't up in the front together. 2 teammates emerge as number 1 and number 2. Brian Chu and Blake Lothian working together here with Sick With It Motorsports. Kerry Tribute behind them. Kerry Tribute with Hunter Performance Motorsports. He has no teammates left in this fight. Donnie Lyons at 79 Machine. He has no teammates around him right now either for 979 Racing, except for I think Brandon Broadfoot is a teammate, but he is nowhere to be seen as Kerry Tribute jumps to the outside. Lap car may affect this corner. No, they're going to catch him at the one side. Tribute hits the lap car. Blake Lothian's around. Brady LaBeouf's involved. Donnie Lyons is involved. Bill Hale's involved, and more. That's chaos as it looks like Tribute is the one of the few to survive.
Oh my goodness, we just had a truck teleport out of the racetrack there, went for a helicopter ride up the fence right there, but a lot of the leaders, a lot of the trucks we've been watching all night long have been tagged up at, we call it the big one at Talladega, but that is definitely the big one here at Daytona.
The leaders asked the lap car to go high. The lap car took forever to go high. The leaders then went high because he wasn't moving up, and chaos ensued, and that was absolutely just an explosion in the middle of the field. That could have not gone any worse for everyone involved. Lothian, Thurman, LaBeouf, Lyons, big names all out of this race. I believe Brian Chu is also. Kerry Tribute is one of the few to make it through cleanly. Brian Chu is running on track. I stand corrected, not necessarily, no, but he is heavily damaged, along with a bunch of other trucks. Lowry, the number 3, he went for one crazy ride there.
And you see right there, he is just catapulting. I give him a 10 out of 10 for the gymnastics routine he just put forth there in that 3 truck. But as you just mentioned, that list of names who just got tagged up into that wreck, we're going to have about 3 laps to go, essentially green-white checkered here at the end. For a lot of these drivers that have been racing at the top of this grid, racing the best races we've seen out of these trucks here tonight, for have it to end like this, that just has to be the most discouraging thing that you can have done here, Tyler, especially with all the work, all the laps, everything that you've been putting forth here. We've been at Daytona now for the last 3 weeks. So this was the time to put it all into flourishing, try to get that race victory here tonight, and have it end like this just has
What
to be
an
disastrous.
onboard we have here from Lowry, and it looked like he was clear. From his viewpoint, he probably thought he was clear, and he just gets hooked at the last second from Charleston, South Carolina, currently where I live. So love to see a fellow local down here, but he just unlucky night. And I want to bring in Brady LeBuff, who's involved in that incident, to talk about what happened there, what his feelings are. Brady LeBuff, it's Tyler and Will in the Nazar 360 booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you, Tyler.
Yeah, unfortunately, this is probably not the way you wanted to be talking to us tonight. But what did you see there, and what? We're at a loss for words here in the booth.
Yeah, it's definitely unfortunate, man. I made an awesome move to get around Blake and Carey and those guys and Brian Shuda. I made it 3 wide to get back to the front, and I felt like I was controlling the race for a second. I was getting awesome runs off the corner and kind of utilizing that third lane to get the run. And once Brian dove to the inside, I thought he was just going to be content with making that move with 1 to go, but they got it back around me, and they said something about a lap car coming up. I really didn't know. I couldn't see anything. I was behind Tyler Thurman there in the number 1, so I was just blindsided, and they just started spinning. I had nowhere to go.
As it looks like your night is done, unfortunately. Next week we head to Pocono. Are you looking to turn things around there and really start to get the season off to maybe a better foot than what we had tonight?
Yeah, it's speed weeks are fun, but after racing Daytona about 3 or 4 times, it's time to head on out and move on to the next race.
Well, we look forward to seeing you in the virtual Pocono Mountains of Pennsylvania in a week's time. But unfortunately, end to your night here, Brady, and we'll all just sit back and watch this green-white checker and see who comes out on top in the season opener.
Yep, you guys enjoy it.
Thank you so much. And you have to feel for a lot of those guys up front most of the race who kind of, at the end, they're just a victim there. Nothing else they could have done.
Yeah, it was just so airtight, so close of racing that we've had all night long here tonight, that if one domino was to fall, they all were going to fall. It didn't matter where you were at on the track or how you tried to avoid the chaos and the calamity. There just wasn't anywhere to go. And for a lot of those drivers, a lot of those names that you called out not too long ago, they were some of the fastest trucks we've seen all night, with the exception of Kerry Tribute, who survived that, and Bullock in that 17 who survived that as well. We were really looking at the who's who of tonight's race. A lot of the guys are up for some of the biggest awards. You just talked about Hess leading the most laps here tonight. Now all of those drivers are dashed and are inside the garage.
Yeah, the Hard Luck Award is going to have plenty of candidates to choose from. The Blanchard's Towing Recovery is going to have a tough time picking a winner for this week's Hard Luck Award, because there were a plenty. But Kerry Tribute, green-white checker time at Daytona. We love it here. Tribute leads him through the Geico restart zone. We are green with 2 to go here at Daytona.
Yes, Tribute's going to take us down into corner number 1. The race leader here with 2 laps to go. As mentioned, he won the Clash race a few weeks ago. He is trying to pick up another W here at Daytona, but there goes Bullock to the inside there in that 17 truck, looking fresh to death with those green rims off of corner number 2. He's going to lead the way down the backstretch.
We are 3 wide for 4th, but look who we have not seen. Where did he come from? Justin Lumpkin in that 18 machine behind Brandon Bullock in the 17. Those 2 drivers know each other well. They may work with each other here to try and win this race, take it away from Kerry Tribune.
Yeah, they're going to try to snatch it away from the 7 truck right now, but again, we are racing very, very tight here at the top of the grid. We're going to take this white flag, though, off of corner number 4. We're going to have 1 lap to go here in the Buttkicker 200 to crown our first winner of the season as we dig down to corner number 1.
A name we also haven't heard from tonight, Nathan Moorer in that 971 machine. He is here. He's pushing Tribute. He's looking to the inside.
Yeah, very, very tight there. You saw that huge move from the 971. Backed off just a little bit to avoid taking out the leader right now. But our leader down the backstretch is still Kerry Tribute with Moyer right on that back bumper as we dig down to corner number 3. Oh, no! As the 971 is going to hit the 7 and go down the grass on the backstretch.
Travis Burster takes the lead, but he's around. Michael Allen still in it. Robbie Richards looking to the inside. We're coming off of 4. It's a 3-truck race to the end. Robbie Richards, Chris Blanchard, Michael Allen, Blanchard looking behind. Blanchard gets wrecked by Michael Allen. Robbie Richards is going to run away with it and win the season opener Buttkicker 200 here at Daytona in the most chaotic finish I think I've ever seen to an end of a Daytona race.
Tyler, I'm looking at my notes over here. I'm looking at the grid. Where did Robbie Richards come from at the end there? He picks up the race victory. We haven't called his name out at all here tonight, but that 48 truck leads the lap that counts, and that's the last one, and he's going to win the Buttkicker 200 here tonight.
Robbie Richards, Mr. Where Did He Come From? For real this time, started 38th, and he's going to win here at Daytona, and he's excited over the radios, that's for sure. But just absolutely out of nowhere, from Brute Force Motorsports. He had a teammate, Nate Mower, up there, but Robbie Richards brings home the victory in that 48 Clemson machine, and he's going to burn it down here at Daytona. Wasn't up front, didn't lead any lap except the last one, but that's the most important one.
And you see the damage on that 48. You see those racing marks on that side. But the one thing that he wants to show off is that paw right on that front hood, and that thing's gonna look pretty in victory lane as he's gonna burn it down and be our first race winner here in the Sim Racer Hub Truck Series. And what a win it is for Robert Richards here tonight. Literally came out of nowhere. He is definitely the Hard Charger Award winner, coming from basically the last row on the grid to the first row to win this race here tonight.
Yeah, so looking at the second place machine of Justin White, but we're going to have to get everyone figured out here in the booth, everyone where they need to be so we can get through some of these interviews. But, I mean, just what a race tonight, and Will, just take us through this the finishing order here.
Yeah, taking a look at that finishing order, we just saw Robert Richards win the race here tonight. And looking at the rest of the grid, we're going to look at Justin White. A few of these names we haven't called out at all here tonight. Jonathan Wiley is going to finish third. Justin Lumpkin, fourth. Charles Keller in fifth. Brian Chu is going to scrape out a good finish here tonight, going to finish sixth. Chris Blanchard's going to finish seventh. Huck Winnington's going to finish in eighth. Travis Bertzer is going to finish in ninth. Kerry Tribute, after all that chaos and calamity there at the end, is going to finish 10th. Brandon Bullock is going to finish 11th. Doug Neal in 12th. Jason Morales there is going to finish 13th. Brandon Bradfoot 14th. Mike Allen 15th. Nate Maurer in that 971. We saw him battling it for the lead there at the last little bit of the race. Going to finish 16th. Donnie Lyons in 17th. Tyler Thurman in 18th position there. Now we're starting to get into those lap cars there, Tyler. And I'll throw it on over to you to finish off our official results.
Finishing off in lap cars. I was off track, but we have Blake Lothian 20th, Brady Buff 21st, Bill Hales 22nd, Peyton Modridge 23rd, James Lowry 24th, Ricky Allen 25th, Cody Knott finishing 26th, Matthews 27th, Cody Sanderson 28th, Earl Meza and Kyle Hassan, unfortunate into their night, 29th and 30th, and we can roll through the rest of the finishing order. A lot of choices for the Christopher Blanchards Towing and Recovery Award hard luck winner for tonight. And really not a winner when you think about it with how their races end. But we're going to get to our interviews, and we're going to start with our third place finisher, Jonathan Wiley. Jonathan, finishing third, you had an up and down night if I've ever seen one. Involved in that big wreck early on with the lap truck that came out and took out most of your team, or involved most of your team. What was it like coming back from that incident?
Yeah, it was sketchy at first. I didn't know why the guy pulled off of the wall like that and killed everybody, but it tore my truck up a lot. And the last stage, I was just pitting when I could to try to get the optionals fixed, and it was still down on power, but luckily that big one at the end, I got through it.
Yeah, Jonathan, and obviously it feels like maybe a frustrating night for Hoosier Daddy Motorsports. Even though you come home third, you guys were up front most of the night. Are you looking forward to maybe getting some revenge next week and putting home a win at Pocono?
I always hope to win. That's just, I think our team, I think we drive pretty good. I think we'll be okay. We'll see what happens.
Well, Jonathan, before we let you go, is there anyone you'd like to thank tonight?
Just my team, Hoosier Daddy Racing. I think we'll be okay. And you guys for doing the broadcast, and Brady for running the league. I think it's going to be a fun league.
Well, it certainly was fun to start our season tonight, Jonathan, and we'd like to thank you for coming in and entertaining us all. And congrats again on your third place finish. And we look forward to seeing you maybe back here in the booth for more top threes later on this year.
Yep, for sure. Hope so. Thank you.
Thanks again to Jonathan Wiley. We're going to pull our second place finisher, Justin White. Justin White from Brute Force Motorsports, teammates with the winner, Robbie Richards. Justin, what was your thought coming into this final?
Into the race or the final few laps?
The final. You walk us through the final few laps after that big wreck that took out most of the field. What was kind of your thought process coming into that green-white checkered?
Please don't wreck in front of me. Wreck behind me. Wreck behind me all you want. Just do not wreck in front of me. And then if it did happen, just kind of pull Days of Thunder. Don't really like throttle through it because that's kind of pointless because you're going to get up in it. Just kind of let off a throttle, close your eyes, and hope for the best.
Yeah, and it looks like even though a little bit of damage, you got pretty well through that last wreck, and just a very entertaining race. But what was it like, working with teammates in a situation where, you're communicating? What was that experience for you like?
Yeah, Doug, Nate, and Robbie, the 971. I think Robbie runs the 17 or the 12, 48. Yeah, 48 and the 72. Us, we've been working together for years. It feels like it's probably been about year and a half, 2 years together, and we just got a feel for each other, know when to push, when not to push. Nate's just really good at getting on and off pit road, so hanging around him when he's pitting is probably the best way of doing it. Doug is just, Doug's a hell of a pusher, and he can lead out front and he hug that yellow line. So just maintain with those guys, calling out wrecks, avoiding it, trying to help each other out as much as we can. I think I got into Robbie there at the start towards that first caution. I think I doored him pretty good because there was a car coming back across the track and I had nowhere to go, and I tried to squeeze it in to where maybe I would take most of the damage, and I think I sandwiched him into the wall, but he come out smelling like a rose, and I got damage, there. I got rear-ended from behind, and with these trucks, when you get rear-ended from behind, it takes away RPM, and I'm like, if I don't get this thing fixed, I am toast.
For sure, and definitely with all my experience running in different NASCAR truck leagues, I know exactly what you're talking about. But before we move on to the boss man and the winner tonight, is there anyone you'd like to thank?
Yeah, all my teammates, Doug, Nate, Robbie, Adam Newbert, any other guys that I forgot about helping me racing week in, week out. I want to thank Grinds, the sponsor on the truck. If you guys are looking to quit chewing tobacco, Grinds coffee pouches will be your go-to. They've helped me kick the habit for 12 years now. I would not ever want to go back. So if you guys are looking for them, get grinds.com. It's coffee grinds in the pouches, and like I said, it'll help you kick the habit.
Awesome. And again, we want to say congrats again on a great finish tonight. A great way to kick off your season, Justin. And we'll now go over to the boss man himself, Robbie Richards. Robbie, we looked at kind of the race. Where did you come from tonight is all I really have to say, Robbie, because you came out of nowhere.
Man, I wish I could tell you. I had no clue. Seas parted, and everything felt right, man. I did after that first stage when we got a little damage after the wreck. There's no way I would have thought. There's no way I would have thought I would have been up here in the front at the end of the race.
Yeah, you were ninth when the white flag waved, and it looks like just all the seas parted for you. Did you think you really had a shot for the win, being as far back as you were coming to the white flag, or did you think you needed a little bit of help that you got?
No, honestly, man, I was going to be content with staying just kind of wherever I could fall in line. I had damage from the first caution for the stage, and then one of the bigger wrecks, I got in the rear of somebody when they were checking up, and I got more damage. The RPMs was still great, so I can at least had speed there as long as I stayed in the draft. So I was just content staying in the draft. I was going to help teammates out. I done told them, I was like, if y'all get a run, go ahead. I'll fall in behind you guys. And then everything kind of scuffled. Coming on that last lap, man, everybody started just going left and right, and everything fell in place. Yeah, there's no way I would have thought I'd be sitting here with men. Went ahead and punching the ticket in for the championship.
But you are, and that's the big thing tonight. And I can say for sure, knowing you for multiple seasons in NASRA, it couldn't have happened to a better dude. And I want to say again, congrats on your win tonight. But before we let you go, before we come in on this broadcast, is there anyone you'd like to thank that makes this happen for you tonight?
Oh, yeah, I definitely want to thank Simbox for coming on board and sponsoring this series. Winter Towing, you guys here at NASRA. 360 Racing, Brady, all the guys that make this thing run. I would give a huge shout out to the guys who showed up tonight, man. They, this is a new series as far as NASCAR's been around for a while, but we give a shout out to the guys who just come run this series. I had no intentions on running this series. I got told that I was going to be a team leader. Started reconsidering it, got me a team together, and I want to thank my teammates there, Nate Maurer, Doug, Justin. Even though he's not on our team, got a kind of alliance with him and Swim, and move forward and see what happens next week. See if we can get these other guys a win.
Yeah, and you can't ask for more for a new team owner winning your first regular season race out with Brute Force Motorsports. So again, congratulations from Will and I here in the booth, and obviously our producer Adam Flieger on your big win here tonight in the Buttkicker 200. And hopefully you will see you maybe back here next week, maybe in victory lane, maybe top 3, maybe a stage win. But always a pleasure talking with you, man. And again, congrats.
I appreciate you guys. Yeah, it's been a while. It was time.
Yes, it has. And with that, Will, we have come to the conclusion of our season opener here at Daytona, and what a race.
I think that's the best adjective to use, the best descriptive words to use for tonight's race. We saw a lot of the same names up at the top of the grid. Of course, we saw Kyle Hess take stage number 1. We saw Kerry Tribute take stage number 2. Those drivers really stayed in the mix until all chaos ensued at the end of the race. I know a lot of these drivers aren't going to be very happy with the way this race ended here tonight. But I know Robert Richards is going to be one man celebrating in Daytona, being our first race winner here tonight.
For certain, and tons of storylines to come from this race. We had drivers making bold blocks, bold moves. We had lap cars being involved in incidents. We had, the last lap alone, you had Tribute kind of throwing a block that was a little too late on Maury, and that put them both out of the race. And then you had Bullock getting kind of contacted by Tribute when he came back up. That brought Bullock off of the apron. He came back up, hit Burtzer, and chaos developed behind him. There's a lot of angry drivers right now, and a lot of tempers that may flare over. And we may have some new rivalries already after week number 1 here in the SimRacingHub.com Truck Series, brought to you by Nazra. And that will make for a very, very entertaining year.
Oh, yeah, and I cannot wait until we get to Pocono next week with all of this brewing, all of this intensity that came from those last few laps. A few of the lapper cars got in the mix as well, but besides the lappers, we saw a lot of drivers really inching their way, fighting their way up to the top of the grid. A lot of dogs in this series, Tyler, and I cannot wait to see the dogs let loose next week at Pocono.
Yeah, and again, we just want to say thank you from the whole Nazra 360 crew, Nazra, SimRacerHub.com, Blanchard's Towing and Recovery, Buttkicker, Pulse Poppers for the pole award for Kyle Hess tonight. We just want to say thank you to all of our sponsors that support us here at Nazra and the SimRacerHub.com Truck Series, and our great producer Adam Flieger for helping us all with all the replays and the in-race graphics. And from that, we are going to conclude our broadcast and our coverage here from the lovely virtual Daytona International Speedways. Your winner tonight, Robert Richards, that 48 machine from Brute Force Motorsports with a come-from-behind victory of the ages. Well, I know I'm excited for next week at Pocono. I don't know about you, but I'm ready to just get the next race started already.
I cannot wait to get to the beautiful sights of Pocono next week here on the Nazareth 360 Racing Network. I cannot wait to see what the action entails for us next week.
Yeah, and with that, again, my name's Tyler Demmer with Will Tiller in the booth, Adam Flieger, producer. With that, we bid you all a good night, and we look forward to seeing you all next week here on Nazareth 360 for the SimRacerHub.com Truck Series.